Hey guys! So I've had a busy weekend, I'm kind of tired right now, so this video this week is questions that people have about me or my CP. And so I went around to some friends, I asked Facebook and Instagram, I asked my classmates, and here are the questions that people have asked me. Be sure to leave a comment if you have any of your own questions, like, share, and subscribe for more videos. So where do I want to go to college and what do I want to major in? I want to go to Auburn University and I don't really know what I want to major in. I like engineering, I've thought about PT, I've thought about being a nurse practitioner, creative writing's up there, one of my top ones, so I like a couple different things and there are a lot of things to choose from career-wise, so I don't really know right now. What do I look for in colleges and careers with my disability? When I look for campuses, I look at size and how accessible it is. Like Auburn has a transit system that will take me to and from class, and for careers I want something where I'm not sitting at a desk the entire time because that's not healthy for me, but I also don't want to be too physically active and be exhausted and tired at the end of the day and possibly hurt myself. So I had a question about knitting. Does my CP affect holding the needles, and what tips do I have for that? So my CP in my arm is not really that bad, so it does kind of make it more difficult. I've lost a lot of threads knitting, and then I have little holes when I knit because once you slip a thread off the needle and it disappears, it's not coming back. But if I do focus and sit there for a while, I do kind of get into a groove and it gets better. What has been the most difficult obstacle to overcome in your journey as a paraswimmer? So that would be definitely getting the adaptations I need during meets that are not for paraswimming and are just normal, typical people meets. Like today, I did sectionals for the state of Alabama in my area, and I was in a heat by myself and an event by myself so that other people's wake wouldn't interfere with my swimming. And so there were girls after me that were swimming the same event, and they tried to get up on the blocks next to me, and I was in the water because that's where I start. And they had to get the girls to step down, and there was just confusion because the girls were like, "What do you mean? This is our event." They're like, "No, there's this one girl swimming by herself." And it was kind of chaos for a couple minutes. What do you enjoy most about swimming? I really like the adrenaline and the freedom in the water because the water gives me a lot more stability physically, and it just opens up a lot of things that I can do and participate in, so that's something I really enjoy. What advice would you give to someone who wants to try a new sport but is faced with a disability? Go for it. Okay, there is literally nothing that can stop you. Like, if people with asthma can swim, I know that's not the same thing, but I have a friend that has asthma, and she's had like asthma attacks in swimming, and she still does it, and she comes to practice every day, and sometimes she has to stop and get out, but she does it, and she participates, and she does what she can, so go for it. Tell about how having to work harder for what you do than most people have to isn't a great feat. It's just part of how people like us live. Yes, so I'm so glad for the person that sent me this, because this is something that a lot of people don't understand, and I have to explain it a lot, and people ask me. But the human body is weird, okay? So if I say I work harder than most people, I don't really know what that means. Like, sure, I do work harder, but for me, that's just working normally. Like, I have never worked not as hard as I have been now. So there's nothing relatively harder for me. It's just how I worked, and it's just how my body works, and my body's adapted to that. How were you drawn to swimming, and how does it compare to other sports you've tried? Does the weightlessness of being in the water neutralize any of the physical constraints of CP that you experience on land? So I kind of told this story in my first Get to Know Me video, but I wasn't particularly drawn to swimming. Like, I did softball, and I've done theater, and I've done all sorts of things, but my coach handed me a flyer, and she was like, "Hey, you should join the swim team." And I was like, okay, that sounds like super fun. And swimming in the water, I already said this before, but it gives me a lot more freedom, and the water will support my body. So the deeper I am in the water, the straighter I stand, and I can walk, and I can do all sorts of things. I can stretch, I can stand on one foot, I'm a lot more flexible. So there are a lot of things that I can do in the water that I can't do on land, and it is the best feeling ever. So these couple ones were from my teachers and my classmates. Does it hurt? So not because of CP, but it causes other things like back pain that do hurt really bad. Does it hurt just my legs? No. So my legs don't hurt that much unless I have muscle spasms, but those aren't very often. But it causes back pain, which is terrible. I've started having to go to the chiropractor every so often because it just hurts so bad, and it's terrible, y'all. It's not good. How do I want people to help me when I fall down? So the best thing that you can do is don't panic, okay? A lot of people panic when I fall down, and then it just makes it worse. I'm not hurt unless I'm look like I'm physically in pain, and you can probably tell because I'll probably have a strange look on my face. So don't panic. I'm probably not hurt because I've been falling my entire life, and I know how to fall without hurting myself. So just kind of give me a little bit of space and just let me tell you what you need to do to help me, and just let me tell you what to do and ask, how can I help? Why don't I wear my leg braces all the time? So just like you have different shoes for different occasions, there's some times where the braces aren't appropriate. Like this weekend when I was at the swim meet, the braces are not very pool friendly because they have cloth in them, and if it gets wet, and it's just really uncomfortable. So I wear chacos, I wear sandals to the pool, and I don't wear my braces because that would just be weird to wear my braces with sandals. That might look a little bit funny. And if I'm at church and I'm dressed really nice and I'm wearing wedges, I'm not going to wear my braces because that would also be really weird. So yeah, that's it. It just depends on the occasion and where I am and what I'm doing. I lost my spot here. Here we go. What's my biggest problem in high school with a disability? I had to think about this one because I didn't know at first. But at my school we have 4 minutes to get to class, which is really nice because at my middle school we had 3 minutes and I was late to every class. And I'm mostly on time. There are some times where I have to walk a long way to the elevator and then walk to my class, and it's barely on time. But the biggest part, I think, is getting through crowds of people because I'm short and people don't see me and they don't realize that I need to get through, especially if they're distracted. This is typically a problem with freshmen more than anyone else, but everyone kind of does it. And so people don't realize that I'm there and trying to get through. And so managing the crowds at school is definitely the biggest problem for me. Have I had surgery? Yes, I've had 3. The first one was a selective dorsal rhizotomy when I was 3, where they cut some of the defective nerves in my back. One of them was in 5th grade, and they shortened the tendon in my knee because I was growing so much that it was stretched out and it was hurting me. And then they also rotated my femurs so that I wouldn't be crouched in and having my knees stick together when I walked. And then the third one that I had was just in the same spot on my leg where my femurs were rotated, just to remove some hardware that they had put in. How often do I have to go to the doctor for my CP? I used to go to a neurologist and an orthopedist after my rhizotomy, but a few years ago I was released and it was really hard saying goodbye to the orthopedist. I miss you, Dr. Scott Doyle. And I went to a rehab doctor after my second surgery a few times a year, and I see her only once a year now just to make sure that everything's okay. And this isn't a doctor, but I thought I should include this. I used to go to therapy once a week, and obviously I said in my first video, I'm free, I don't have to do that anymore. What was it like growing up? This was from one of my classmates, and It was kind of funny when I said the answer because when I was a kid, I didn't know that I had a disability. And that's kind of weird to think about. And I don't really know when it dawned on me, oh wait, there's something that makes me different from other kids. But I genuinely didn't know. And when I was in kindergarten, a boy in my class asked me why I walked like a penguin. And I had no idea what he was talking about, and I thought he was kind of crazy. So I just lived like a normal kid because I didn't know that I had a disability. Do I have any friends with the same disability? Yes, I do have a couple friends with CP. I wouldn't say the same disability because they're not exactly the same, but on the basic level, I do have friends with CP. What's my opinion on the word disability? So I'm a bit of an anomaly with this, but I totally embrace the word. I feel like a word shouldn't make me upset, and honestly, I don't want to beat around the bush. I have a disability. I struggle with a lot of things, and that's okay, because I can't change it, so I just gotta make it better. So what's the mechanics and the causation of my CP? So as I said in my first video, I was born 10 weeks premature, so about 3 months, and my brain started bleeding and there were nerves that could not work, like dead. And so my brain can't exactly fire messages, and sometimes when I try to do too many things at once with my legs and my arms, it just doesn't work out. Like when I swim freestyle, I try to kick my legs and my arms go haywire and they slow down and it looks really terrible and it kind of looks like I'm drowning. But it's kind of like a computer when you have so many tabs open and the computer's trying to do all these things at once, and then it just freezes and shuts down and it can't do that many things at once. So that's it, and I hope I get some new questions in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and see you in 2 weeks after I go to state. Bye!